Hi, my name is Jordan Milner, and this is my video for Chapter 12 over ability-based instruction and ability grouping. I chose to mainly focus on ability grouping within the classroom, just because that's typically what we do at the middle school level, especially in our co-taught classes, but I know that most districts, especially at the high school level, also offer courses that are ability-based, but separated by class instead of within the classroom. So those would be your like AP classes or your gifted student classes. Or your general ed or your special ed classes. But like I said, at Walnut Middle School, typically we do ability-based instruction within the classroom, so we're differentiating. We do offer some AP classes for math at all 3 grade levels. We have at 6th grade, there's a gifted math class, 7th grade, a gifted math class, and then 8th grade, I believe there's a couple different levels of math that they offer. And then we also offer co-taught classes and special education classes for struggling learners. But like I said, I chose to mainly focus on ability grouping because that's generally what I do. And ability grouping, also known as tracking, is a practice of grouping children based on their talents in the classroom. It was a common practice in the late 1980s and 1990s, but then fell out of favor and now has come back into education. Ability grouping allows for teachers to work with either multiple subgroups of students within a classroom at similar ability levels or to group classes based on their ability levels, like I discussed earlier. The concept behind ability grouping is that all of the groups can be learning the necessary skills at their level. So that's really that differentiated instruction. Grouping by ability allows for teachers to easily differentiate the instruction to several students at a time, and then teachers provide more rigorous work and instruction for higher ability students and provide more repetition and support for struggling students. One of the major benefits to ability grouping is that it allows teachers to work with smaller groups of students and therefore provides more one-to-one instruction. Another benefit is that students can more easily work at their own pace when working with students who have similar abilities. Ability grouping allows for collaboration among students. The most prevalent advantage to ability grouping is that it allows all students to be challenged as they are working at their ability level and pace instead of trying to keep up as a whole class. And so, as a teacher, it's very hard to meet the levels of all students at one time, but ability grouping allows us to be able to meet the needs of several students at one time. And so you can really challenge those higher level kids, and then you can really help those lower level kids, lots of repetition and help them to really understand, and then your middle of the road kids are also challenged. Ability grouping seems to especially benefit high ability students. Students who progress quickly through curriculum material can be appropriately challenged when they are being grouped with others in their ability group. This way, gifted students continue to be motivated throughout the academic year without having to lose momentum while other students are still catching up. And that's stated from the article Pros and Cons of Grouping Students by Ability. So ability grouping provides smaller group instruction, differentiation, and collaboration amongst students, all of which can increase student learning. While there are many benefits to ability grouping, there are also some disadvantages to ability grouping. Ability grouping can create anxiety and frustration amongst students if they feel they are being placed incorrectly. Ability grouping could also cause complacency amongst lower ability students, as they may feel as if they will always receive easier tasks and therefore never really be challenged or have to give their best effort. If low expectations are continually set for these students, then they will only see themselves as being able to complete tasks with lower expectations and give up when higher expectations are set. And so it's really important when you use ability grouping that you're still challenging that lower level group, but you're still meeting their learning needs. A typical classroom consists of 25 to 30 students at varying academic levels, so teachers often find it very difficult to keep all students engaged and to keep them at the same pace. I know that I find it really difficult to do that in my own classroom, and so it's just much easier to use ability grouping to meet the needs of all of those students, and it's an easier way to differentiate the instruction. I really think that when used appropriately, ability grouping can be extremely beneficial for all students. They have the chance to work at their own pace and to find success within a small group of their peers. Ability grouping can help to foster creativity, student motivation, and engagement. Groupings are constantly changing for each skill being taught. Therefore, students have the opportunity to work with many different classmates and to work at their level in that skill area. And so a lot of times when we use ability grouping in my co-taught math and language arts classes, we begin by assessing the students, and then we're able to create groups based on that assessment. And so we're constantly changing our groupings. So one student might be extremely good at fractions, and so they might be in the high ability group, but then when we get to geometry, they might really struggle, and so they might be in the low ability group that time. So I think one way that we can really move away from the bad stigma of ability grouping is to continually assess students and really move them each time you're doing a different skill. And so I think if teachers do that, it will really help kids and kind of, like I said, get rid of that stigma. So overall, I really think that ability grouping is extremely beneficial for all students and can have many positive effects in the classroom. Teachers should challenge students at all levels and should not make it known that the groups are based on abilities. Students should feel more comfortable in smaller groups and should be able to receive more one-to-one instruction. Teachers should use different delivery methods to teach content and should be able to use ability grouping to help reinforce and/or challenge the use of different skills being taught in the classroom. Overall, I believe ability grouping is an extremely effective method to help all students learn. Thanks for listening.